She did what? Claire Harper's voice cracked as she stared at her phone, fingers tightening around the screen like it might explode. The group chat lit up in a chaotic frenzy of reactions. Vanessa Harper had just announced, without warning, without consent, that Claire had filed for bankruptcy. Not privately, not in a quiet phone call. No. She had stood up in the middle of the Harper family reunion, a 40-person summer circus of cousins, uncles, aunts, and side glancers, and made it public, under the soft string lights and beside the potato salad. Claire blinked twice, trying to process what she'd just read. Our dear Claire is going through a tough time, Vanessa had declared, tears suspiciously absent from her dry, glistening eyes. She's lost her business, everything. But we're family, and I've told her she can stay with me. Stay with her? The same sister who laughed 3 years ago when Claire offered her a job? That Vanessa? Claire looked up from the screen, surrounded by mason jars of lemonade, her mother's hydrangeas, and a sea of concerned faces. Her cousin Josh, who hadn't spoken to her since high school, suddenly appeared with a business card. We're hiring entry level. Happy to help. Next to him, Aunt Lillian leaned in close and whispered, Have you considered selling essential oils? My friend's daughter made 6 figures. It was a well-orchestrated ambush, and Vanessa was the conductor. Claire hadn't even finished her blueberry pie. Rewind 24 hours. Claire arrived at the reunion in Fairfield, Connecticut, gripping a tray of rosemary crackers and goat cheese that suddenly felt absurdly insufficient. She had just received news that her real estate offer, on a lakefront property Vanessa had been obsessing over for years, was accepted. The house, Vanessa's dream house. The irony was sharp enough to draw blood. Claire had liquidated part of her emergency savings and negotiated like a shark in pearls. She didn't buy it to gloat. Or at least, not only to gloat. She bought it because for once she wanted to flip the script. And now, the woman who constantly belittled her little eco-project had painted Claire as a failure in front of their entire extended family. Claire spotted Jenna, her cousin and financial confidant, near the lemonade stand. She actually said I'm bankrupt, Claire muttered, her voice low but shaking. Jenna's expression hardened. I told you she was snooping. I saw her poking around your office last month during that fake bathroom trip. She probably found those legal drafts, contingency paperwork, not even filed, and twisted it. Claire's chest tightened. It's not even true. We had a supplier issue and a bad algorithm hit our listing visibility, but we rebounded. I rehired 2 staff members last week. We're rebuilding. I know that, Jenna said, eyes locked on Vanessa across the lawn. But they don't. And that's the point, isn't it? She controls the narrative now. The lunch table buzzed with forced small talk and passive stares. Claire took a seat directly across from Vanessa, her mother's doing, no doubt. Vanessa wore a silk-wrapped dress still creased from a rushed unpacking. Her oversized sunglasses rested on her head like a crown. She leaned forward with an air of practiced pity. You know, Claire, she said sweetly, it's brave of you to show up today. If I were in your shoes, I'd be hiding. Claire raised her brow. Strange, I didn't know pity required public spectacle. Oh, come on. I was just trying to get ahead of the gossip. You know how Aunt Lillian is. I would have preferred you get ahead of it by asking me first. Vanessa's smile twitched. You've always been so sensitive. I was just trying to help. Help. That word, like acid wrapped in lace. Claire leaned in. You know what's funny, Vanessa? You're so desperate to be the sister with her life together, you didn't even bother checking your facts. My business isn't bankrupt. Not even close. Vanessa blinked, briefly rattled. I saw the documents. You saw draft documents my attorney created for safety planning. No filings, no court, just due diligence. Vanessa's mouth opened, then shut. Claire pushed back from the table, standing tall. You might want to cancel your generous savior speech next time. Later that night, Claire sat on the old swing by the tree line, the same one she'd used to hide from Vanessa's childhood torment. Her phone buzzed again. Offer finalized. Keys available tomorrow morning at 9 hot a.m. The lake house was officially hers. Vanessa's dream. Claire's signature. Claire exhaled slowly. the summer air thick with pine and leftover barbecue. A flicker of doubt passed through her. Was this revenge, or just balance? Uncle David approached quietly, hands tucked in his pockets. She's always had a loud trumpet, your sister, but I've always thought you were the drum line. Steady, underestimated, but impossible to march without. Claire smiled faintly. Well, she just tried to drum me out of my own life. He tilted his head. Then I hope you've got something planned for the encore. Claire's gaze shifted toward the driveway, where her car sat packed with the purchase folder, title documents, and keys. Oh, Uncle David, she said, her voice calm, almost playful. I do. If you've ever been overlooked after giving your all, type 1 in the comments. Let's talk about what they never saw coming. Claire Harper refreshed her inbox for the third time in 10 minutes. The subject line appeared like a punch to the gut. Resignation letter, confidential supplier breach. Her stomach dropped. It was from Amy, her longtime CTO, the backbone of her e-commerce platform. The message was brief, clinical, and devastating. Claire, I'm sorry. I can't stay. I've discovered that someone leaked our supplier contracts to Nordtech. Legal advised me to step away until this is sorted. Good luck. You deserve better. Claire froze in her office chair, her eyes darting over the email again and again. Nordtech, Vanessa's ex-boyfriend, worked there. The same guy Vanessa bragged about networking with during family brunches. The guy who once asked Claire weirdly specific questions about inventory forecasting. Now it all made sense. Her sister hadn't just humiliated her publicly. Someone from her inner circle had weaponized private company data. And Vanessa? She might not have hit send, but she handed them the keys. 2 hours later, the lake wind rustled Claire's white blouse as she leaned against the porch railing of the house Vanessa had claimed for 3 years as her someday property. A black BMW convertible pulled into the driveway, tires crunching over gravel. Vanessa stepped out in a flowy brunch dress that screamed PR perfect grief counselor and clutched a bag from a high-end bakery. She looked up at the house, then froze. Claire watched the confusion form, then harden into disbelief. Vanessa blinked. You've got to be kidding me. Claire sipped her coffee slowly. Good morning. Vanessa climbed the stairs in slow motion, scanning the lakefront view like a ghost had slapped her. Whose house is this? Claire gestured to the porch swing. Yours. Well, you always said it would be. Vanessa stared at her, pale. Wait, this is the property on Lakeshore Drive, the lake house, but it was sold years ago. It came back on the market last month, divorce sale, discounted. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. You bought it? How? Claire set her coffee down. You mean with what money, since I'm apparently bankrupt? Vanessa opened her mouth, then closed it again. A pause hung between them, tense and crackling. Claire tilted her head. So, about that announcement. Vanessa crossed her arms. I saw the papers, Claire. Don't gaslight me. They were draft documents, Vanessa, unfiled. My lawyer created them as a just-in-case after our supplier collapse. I didn't file. I didn't declare. But you declared. To the entire family. Vanessa flinched. I thought I was helping you. You thought you were controlling the story, Claire snapped. That's what you've always done. Twist half-truths into narratives that make you look like the benevolent queen, and me the poor little underachiever. I didn't mean to. Claire held up a hand. Stop. You did mean to. Because deep down, you liked it. You liked being the one with answers. The hero. The one who could offer her pathetic little sister a room and some outdated blazers. Vanessa's eyes welled with defensive fury. You don't know what it's like to live in your shadow. Claire laughed, cold and bitter. My shadow. Vanessa, you built your life copying the spotlight and then accusing me of hogging it. There was a silence, just wind, just trees. Claire stepped forward. I'm not here to gloat. I didn't buy this house just to spite you, but I am here to draw the line. Vanessa glanced away. You've always had everything. No, Claire said, her voice sharp. I've had to build everything while you took credit for it. Every success I've had, you've either minimized, mocked, or claimed as your idea. Do you even realize how exhausting that is? Vanessa's posture sagged. Fine, you want honesty? I'm broke. My cards are maxed. Rent's overdue. My manager just put me on a performance plan. I'm terrified. Claire blinked. The vulnerability felt real. No performance, no syrupy act. Then why attack me? Because I needed to feel like I was better than you at something, anything. And I thought, if I exposed your failure first, I'd control how they saw me, for once. Claire sat down on the swing. You didn't just lie. You opened the door to something worse. Someone leaked my supplier contracts. My CTO just resigned. Do you know who had access? Vanessa's face went blank. I didn't leak anything. But someone you trust did, Claire said flatly. And now my business, what you dismissed as a little project, could be in legal jeopardy. Vanessa's throat worked silently. Claire let the silence stretch. Then, you're going to fix this. Not just the family, all of it. Vanessa looked up. What does that mean? Claire stood, her gaze unflinching. It means you're going to call a meeting. With me, with Jenna, with everyone who got that false bankruptcy story. You're going to tell them the truth. Publicly, loudly, not in a text, not in a whisper, in front of every single person you manipulated. And if I don't? Claire's voice dropped an octave. Then I'll make sure the only lake view you ever get is the one you scroll past on Zillow, from your mom's couch. Vanessa paled. If you've ever had someone try to bury your success just to protect their own ego, drop a 2 in the comments. Let's talk survival and receipts. Claire Harper's Slack pinged at 6:42 a.m. on a quiet Thursday. The message wasn't from her team. It was from someone using a burner account. Check the revision history of your February contracts. Someone edited the supplier clause. Timestamp, Feb 9, 2:03 p.m. J. Claire's heart kicked into overdrive. She opened the shared drive and located the original contract with Redwood Supply. The PDF's signature page was intact, but buried in the metadata was an overwritten clause that quietly reduced their payment deadline from 30 to 10 days. That change had triggered late penalties, lost goodwill, and nearly collapsed their partnership. Claire traced the timestamp back to the user log. It wasn't Amy. It wasn't Ite. It was Madison, her junior project manager, and someone Vanessa had once introduced as a friend looking for experience. Claire exhaled through gritted teeth. She wasn't imagining it. Her sister hadn't just played dirty in the family yard. Someone from Vanessa's orbit had infiltrated her business. Later that afternoon, the great room of Claire's lake house buzzed with quiet curiosity. The same family that had whispered behind napkins and passed judgment beside potato salad 2 weeks ago now walked through floor-to-ceiling windows, murmuring about how she'd turned things around so fast. Claire greeted each relative politely, but she kept scanning for one person. Vanessa. When she finally appeared, Claire froze. Her sister was dressed simply, no loud colors, no designer sunglasses, no drama, just jeans and a linen blouse, her hair pulled into a clean ponytail. In her hands, she carried a tray of homemade spinach puffs. Vanessa. Cooking. Claire did a double take. As guests helped themselves to wine and snacks, Vanessa moved to the front of the room and clinked her glass. Thank you all for coming, she said, voice steady but not performative. The room quieted. Someone even muted a toddler's iPad. I owe each of you an apology. 2 weeks ago, I stood in our parents' backyard and told you Claire had filed for bankruptcy. That was untrue. Gasps. A few sharp inhales. Uncle George nearly dropped his drink. I found some legal documents and jumped to conclusions without asking her first. I then announced it. Dramatically, publicly, and completely out of line. She turned toward Claire. I'm sorry, Claire. You didn't deserve that. You never have. The silence was thick, but Claire stepped forward, standing beside her sister for once not in opposition, but as equal weight. I appreciate the apology, Claire said, and I want to clear something else up. Yes, my business had a setback. Supplier failure, cash flow turbulence, a few brutal weeks. But it wasn't failure. It was resilience in progress. She let her eyes scan the room. Vanessa wasn't wrong to be worried, but she was wrong to assume she had the whole story. After the gathering, as guests sipped coffee on the porch and admired the lake, Claire and Vanessa sat on the swing. "You kept your promise," Claire said softly. Vanessa nodded. "Didn't expect to feel this light after." Claire hesitated. "There's something else you should know. That breach at my company, the one that nearly tanked our Q2 projections, it came from Madison." Vanessa paled. "Madison? From the retail group? She's the one who tweaked your contracts?" Claire nodded. "I traced the metadata and the IP. She modified supplier terms without authorization. I have screenshots, timestamps. She was working with Nordtech, probably passed info along to your ex. My lawyer is filing a cease and desist." Vanessa buried her face in her hands. "Claire, I had no idea. I believe you, but now you understand why the betrayal cut deeper than just words. I'll talk to her. I'll testify if needed." Claire gave a small nod. "Thank you, but more than that, I need boundaries from now on." Vanessa looked up. "Like, no more borrowing your spotlight boundaries?" Claire smiled faintly. "That's one of them. But it's also about protecting what I've built and making sure the people around me want to build alongside me, not above me." Vanessa let out a shaky breath. "You really bought this place, huh?" Claire handed her a glass of wine. "Keys, title, and mortgage free. All mine." "I thought it'd be me." "I know." They sat in silence, watching the lake turn golden with the setting sun. After a moment, Vanessa said, "What happens now?" Claire looked at her, choosing her words carefully. "Now, we figure out how to be sisters who tell the truth, even when it's ugly, even when it's not flattering." Vanessa smiled faintly. "Do I still get to visit the house sometimes?" "Under one condition." "What's that?" "No more PR stunts. If you want to brag about me, at least make it accurate." They both laughed, and for once it wasn't bitter. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself after someone tried to bury your name, drop a 3 in the comments. Let's honor the bounce backs no one saw coming. As they stood to refill their glasses, Claire's phone buzzed. A new email. Subject: whistleblower tip, Vanessa's signature on NDA packet, Feb 9. Claire's smile faded. "Vanessa," she said slowly, "you said you had no idea Madison accessed our files. But why is your signature on her NDA revision?" Vanessa froze. The wind over the lake went still, to be continued.